There's always that moment in business. And in fact, there's multiple times in business that we hit an obstacle that we need Dream Hack 202, right? And here's what how I want you to think about this is that I want you to actually consider the obstacle or the problem that's in front of you right now. Right now, if you're called, if you still don't feel like you're called, then you want to pause and you want to go back, you want to find the call, then come back. Okay. Now, if you're like, okay, well, I'll come back, just keep listening. Dream Hack 202. That moment that there's an obstacle, right? There's that moment that you're like, I don't know what to do next. The tension, the pressure has been long enough that you are losing faith. You're still going through the motions, right? You're still doing the things, but you're catching yourself in a place of doubt and fear, right? You've had enough failures, or you've had enough obstacles, or you've had enough delays that you're starting to doubt the outcome and you're starting to fear, right? And I think that that's normal. I think a lot of times as business owners, we hide those things because we're like, show no sign of weakness. Don't let anybody know that I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. And here's what I will encourage you with today. It comes right out of Genesis 1:1. Who knew the very beginning, right? And here's what I want you to do is I want you to actually develop eyes to see. Okay, this is Dream Hack 202. Dream Hack 101 is you're called. Have a call. Dream Hack 202, have eyes to see. Have eyes to see what? Like God. Okay. Okay. So Genesis 1:1. Let's unpack this incredible scripture that oftentimes we overlook because it can be so elementary. Do you know, like, if we're not careful in business, the complex things seem to make us feel better. No, it's the simple things that are most profound. The Word of God tells us in the beginning, God created the heavens and the whole earth. So right out of the gate, I want to affirm the fact that you are bold enough, crazy enough, wild enough to do as God did, which is to create. This has nothing to do with right brain, left brain, analytical or creative. It says in the beginning, God created. That means that when we partner with Him, He is going to ask us to do what we've never done, to say what we've never said, to see what we haven't yet seen. He's going to create. He calls us to follow Him in creating. Right? It says that we are made in the image of God. He is the greatest creator there ever was. And I believe that when we as a church actually see ourselves in the image of God as creators like Him, it unleashes something within us that catapults us into innovation, creativity, problem solving, resourcefulness. Words that some of us are like, what are you saying? All of those words. We eat it for breakfast. Okay, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the whole earth. But here's the pivotal point. Now, the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was covering the waters. Here's what we have to understand. When God created something, He started with nothing. And oftentimes, we have physical eyes that see nothing. We see the desperation. We see the delays. We see the debt. We see the obstacle. We see the problem. We see the habits. We see the patterns. We see the industry changing. We see $0 in the bank account. And then what happens over time is all we're focused on is that. And yet we overlook this profound creation story, which says that when God went to create everything, He started with nothing. Nothing. Now, I want us to start to be able, okay, here's the deal. It takes nothing for us to see problems, right? Like anyone can see a problem. Any one of us can see delay. Any one of us can see obstacles. Any one of us can see the giants. But do we have eyes to see everything even when nothing is in front of us? Do we have eyes to see what God has already said in the midst of what's actually currently in front of us? Do we actually cling to truth, or are we clinging to our reality? Or for some of us, right, we are so focused on our past that we've gone and forgotten what God said. This is why we go back to the call. Are you focused on the call, or are you focused on your past? Are you focused where you're going, or are you focused where you are? This is exactly what God, and then it says He created the heavens and the whole earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was hovering. It was covering the surface of the deep. And yet, then it says the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. What does this imply? It implies that there is a prophetic move of the Spirit. The Spirit is something that intercedes on our behalf, and He knows exactly God's plans. Because here's what I would like to propose. When God started to create the heavens and the whole earth, He had the end in mind as He started, which means now you and I are in a prophetic journey with the Lord, not trying to go find ourselves, not trying to go build something brand new. We are just partnering with what He's already done, what He's already said. And all we have to do is have eyes to see that in the midst of the unknown, in the midst of the dark, in the midst of the obstacles, but God. And so, as you are, wherever you are today, in the midst of the obstacles, in the midst of the hurdles, in the midst of the problems, do you still have eyes to see what God's asked you to do? And I think that there is something about being able to go, all right, here's the problem, but here's the word. Here's the problem, but here's our vision. Here's the obstacle, but here's why we're in business in the first place. And to actually start to go, all right, if there is a problem, we can create a solution here if we can ultimately understand where do we want to be, why do we want to be there, and then what is the one thing that we can do today to start moving towards the solution as opposed to only seeing the problem. Now, here's DreamHack 303. 202 is going to be for you. You as the visionary, that is your job. God has given you the vision so that you can continue to bring that vision to the team, right? That is your job. He gave it to you. You're like, well, nobody seems to understand it. Well, that might be your job, is to make sure that you are clearly articulating to everybody else who, yep, they're generally, of course, they're going to get caught up in the obstacles. Of course, they're going to get caught up in the problems. But here's how you start to train them to have eyes to see. First, DreamHack 202, you have to, Leadership Hack 202, you have to have the eyes to see. Then, here's what my team and I did is we created what's called the opportunity worksheet. Okay. Because we spend so much time talking about the problems. I hate that. Even with my kids, you guys, I don't want you to come to me with a problem. I want you to come to me with solutions, right? So we created a document that's called Opportunity Worksheet because we don't believe that there is just problems. We believe that those are opportunities disguised as problems, challenges, setbacks, delays, okay? And so what this does is it allows your team and yourself, by the way, there's many times that I've used this, it actually allows them to write down on a piece of paper what is actually the problem. Because for a lot of us, we see one problem and all of a sudden it's 1,000, right? Like we see one red flag and we think it's 1,000,000, right? Like we have one delay and we feel like it's been 17 years. And so we a lot of times become this real like ambiguous. The problems are really ambiguous, right? And then we feel overwhelmed, but we can't actually get concrete about what is the actual problem here. So on this worksheet, you actually write down, here is the actual problem. Then it invites them to, okay, what are 3 potential solutions to this problem? And what this does is it stirs up creativity. It gets you out of your problem mindset and it gets us into our solutions-oriented mindset that says, all right, where is it that we ultimately want to be here, right? Which gets them focused on vision. And then what are the 3 solutions that, based upon where we want to be, that would create an opportunity to overcome this? And what it does for you and your team is it gets them to look up again and to go, okay, this is where we're going and why we're going there. And based upon where we want to be, what are 3 creative solutions that we could use to overcome this? Then they pick the one that they think is best, give you the reasons why, tell you which standard it aligns with, and then together collectively, you get to choose. Here's why this is brilliant. Because there is such thing as decision fatigue as a parent, as a business owner. You're making 1,000,000 decisions a day. And so the fewer decisions we have to personally make, the better. Reason number 1. Reason number 2 is the more that we can teach people how to think about things, the better. For most employees, if they're not careful, they are trained to just do the job. Here is how I do my job. And so we're not actually taught about why to think about things this way, right? So they continue to go, well, there's the problem, but this is my job, but there's the problem, and this is my job. And this is why we get so frustrated. And so what this does is it gets them to look up, go, that's where we're going. That's why we're going there. Based upon what I know to be true, what would be, and it gets them to think differently. and to come up with creative solutions that don't require you, but requires the greater good. And then they get to take ownership. And well, if it was me based upon this problem and these potential solutions, this is the one that I think would be best for our company and why. Now, what it is that you're doing is you're creating a culture of innovation, a culture of creativity, a culture that says, I will not be defined by my obstacles. I will not let the outcome be defined by delays, right? I will ensure that I am fixed on where we're going and I'm not letting obstacles define results, because that's really what we do. We let our obstacles define the result. That is not true. I'm here to tell you today, delay does not define the result unless you let it. Obstacles don't define the result unless you let it. What defines the result is ultimately the vision, the prophetic word, the dream, the goal that the company has. And when we create this opportunity for our team to think this way, we do really great things. Now, if you would like that free PDF, it's down below. Click on the link below. It says opportunity worksheet. It's totally yours, totally free. If my team or my kids come to me with a problem, I would go, no, bring me the opportunity worksheet first. I have to teach them how to treat me. So this document works if you work it. Repeat after me. It only works if you work it.